and 34. Matthew 22 and 34. God is really hanging his hat on relationships this morning, and so I'm just going to continue to do what the Lord said and talk about this area because it's a very important area. We have to get these things together or we're going to continue to struggle. And if we're struggling, then we're not learning because we're too busy trying to fix something instead of being able to be taught of God to go to the next level. So we're going to park it here until we get it together. 22:34. When you have it, say amen. Amen. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempted him, and saying, Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Right. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Amen. I want to talk to you very briefly from the subject, valuing relationships. Amen. Valuing relationships. If you were to boil the Christian life down to one word, if you was to break down all of the stuff we say, all of the things that we do, at risk of me sounding too simplistic, the word would simply be relationships. In order for you to even get into the very kingdom of heaven, you're going to have a personal relationship with God. And if this be the case, if relationship with God is so important, then right next to it at a close second would be how you relate to your fellow man. It's called the cross. It is a horizontal and a vertical. You have to have your relationship right with God. And then you have to have your relationships right across the board with men. Because it is men, it is women, it is children, it is spouses, it is church, it is others. These are all important areas that you're going to have to learn to relate in. And if you're going to have a foundation, if you're going to have a sure foundation, the first thing you're going to have to do is learn how to relate to God. This is what Jesus was teaching them in the text. If you read the whole 22nd chapter, he's teaching them about the kingdom of God through relationships. Amen. He opens up telling them about the marriage to the king's son. Then the Sadducees got all upset because the Sadducees didn't understand that getting into heaven was about having a relationship with God. They thought getting into heaven meant working your way in. Whoever did the most work, whoever gave the most money, whoever was the loudest, whoever was the holiest, they felt like that's how you got into heaven. And Jesus came down to let them understand that the kingdom of heaven is not about eating and drinking. It's not about getting money. It is about relationship with people. And you hear me say this all the time in this church. We are in the people business. That's what church is about. On a social level, church is about people. And if you can't stand people, then you are in the wrong family. If you can't get in a relationship with God and then relate to yourself, then relate to others, then you are in the wrong family because you are going to deal with people everywhere you go. And even if you isolated yourself away from everybody, you still got to deal with yourself. And if truth be told, at the core of your problem in relationship is you. That's right. Unwilling to change, unwilling to compromise, unwilling to do the things that you need to do. And so you get angry because anger is you either getting something you don't want or you want something you ain't getting. And in relationships, sin is always the problem because if you're in a relationship and you're not relating right, sin becomes a very big problem because you're sin to get it and sin if you don't get it. And so God at the core says, let me remove the sin issue so we can work on the relating issue. Because if you're not so concerned with your conduct, now we can start relating and communicating one to each other. Why? Because the ultimate goal is love. And when you look out in this world, there is no love. And even if it is love, it's misplaced love. I I love you if. I love you when. I love if you do what I tell you to do. And Jesus at the core says God is love, and we know God don't operate like that.
That's right.
God loves you in spite of yourself. God loves you when you're being good. God loves you when you're being bad. God loves you when you look good, when you don't look good, when you don't feel good, when you do feel good. Because God is not a wish-washy God. God says, if I love you, then I love you unto death.
Yes.
And even beyond death, I'm going to take care of that. That's the kind of God that we serve. And God says, that's the example that I'm setting, and that's how I want you to operate one to another. 1 Corinthians 13 tells you what love is about. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not self-seeking. Love is not self-centered. Love has discipline.
Yes.
So in order to get to love, you got to learn how to relate to each other.
Right. Amen.
So again, if you don't have your priorities together, if you don't have God, if you don't have spouse, if you don't have yourself, if you don't have your children, church, and then others under control, your life going to be out of balance.
Yes.
Because you're going to put more emphasis on certain things that it shouldn't be the emphasis on.
Yeah.
Meaning this, a lot of mothers, God bless them, but most times their priority is on their children. They love God, they love their spouses, but the reality is if you watch how they operate, if you watch what they do, the priority is normally to keep it.
That's right.
And God says, we want you to love your kids, but we want you to have them in their right place.
Yes.
And if you got a spouse, your kids can't come before your spouse.
That's right.
That was the crickets I heard. Huh? Because in loving your spouse, you love yourself. And vice versa. Because God is at the head. That is the ultimate balancing being. Then you got to learn how to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, see, and I know at these lists people like to put themselves last, but they lying. They lying. Ain't nobody putting themselves last. And you shouldn't put yourself last. Because if you don't have yourself together, how you going to get somebody else together? If you don't love yourself, how do you know love when it comes to you? If you don't know how to treat yourself, if you don't know how to love yourself, boy, you're going to be in some trouble. Because you're going to find out that a lot of times you're going to have to learn how to love yourself. You're going to have to learn how to deal with yourself. You're going to have to learn how to be with yourself. Because contrary to popular belief, no matter how bad you think you are, how lovely you think you are, it's going to come times when people ain't going to want to be bothered with you. And you can be the best person in the world. There's just some times where people just don't want to deal with you. You got nothing to do with how you act, you got nothing to do with how you look. They just don't want to deal with you. So baby, you're going to have to learn how to love yourself sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be a situation where you're going to have to look in that mirror and say, I love me, whether or not nobody else loves me. Right? And you got to keep that in its priority, because once you learn how to love yourself, then you can put out in the atmosphere what kind of love you're expecting to receive back. You can't be walking around down when nobody loves me. I don't look good. I feel, and having a pity party all day, every day, and then expect somebody to come along and talk about how they love you. All they're going to do is say, baby, it's going to be all right. And then when they see you coming, they're like, oh, here they come. Here they come. They love me on zero. And what we trying to get you to the point of is how to fill your own love tank up, because we are to be ministers. We have to learn how to love ourselves so that we can love the unlovable. So that we can help folk that have no love in their life. We can show them how to love. That's what this is all about. We live in a world where nobody loves nobody. Ain't nobody loves everything, but they love money. Money, 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 money. I'm going to get me a husband who got some money. Okay, well, he may have money, but if he ain't got no sense. I'm going to get me a sugar mama. Somebody pay my bills, right, and all that old kind of stuff. Yeah, but if she ain't got no God, when she get tired of you, the money going to cut off. Because if you didn't bring no money with you, can't take none with you. So you're going to have to get. So what is this priority in relationship? Where are you on this scale? Where are you on this love list? Where's your love at? Are you just loving people just because you're obligated to? Or are you loving people out of the God kind of love that the scriptures is talking about? Are you loving people just because they're made in the image of God? Are you loving people just because they are God's people and not somebody's tool that you can just use? Because a lot of people use love as just something to get over on people.
Yeah.
And God can spot that too.
Yeah.
Getting down there talking about how much you love God. I love you, Lord. And God like, what you want? What you need? Because you only come and bow down to me when something's going wrong.
Right.
I don't never see you when you got it going on. When you get your income tax taken, I ain't seen you since the children. And we treat God like that, but then we want God to love us all the time. So let's look at some of these problems or some of these issues that relate in our relationship as it relates to God. What are some of the problems that happen that keeps us from having healthy relationships? Well, number one, we got unresolved offenses. In the text, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they just could not get in accord with God because they had unresolved conflicts. And when you have unresolved conflicts, that means you are a person who don't want to deal with the issue that's at hand. Something comes up and you don't want to confront it. You don't want to deal with it. You act like if you don't deal with it, it's going to just go away. But when you don't resolve issues and you just let them sit on the back burner, it comes up again and again and again because you never got to the core issue. Now, in unresolved offenses, you're going to have some courage on this one. Because you're going to have to confront not the person, y'all need to confront the issues that's at hand. If they spending too much money and you know that, then you can't just say, it'll be all right, you got to put your foot down and y'all going to have to deal with that issue because that's going to lead to another issue. And if you go to bed with them unresolved, you're going to wake up with them unresolved.
It's so true.
And if you in any kind of relationship, friendship, parentship, y'all not go to bed with stuff still on the table. Because it's going to be worse when you wake up in the morning. And even if y'all both pretend like it didn't happen and y'all just think it went away, watch when something else. It's going to be the smallest little thing. And it's going to come right back up. They hung Jesus on a cross because they felt like he was breaking the very law, which he was the very law. But instead of sitting down and talking with him and sitting down and fixing out the issues and listening to what God had to say, they decided they was going to kill him. And we do the same thing when we don't have unresolved issues. We get to the point where we may not kill you physically, but if we control the money, we'll kill you financially. Oh, you ain't getting the bank card today. Oh, no, I ain't got it. No, you're going to have to go ahead without it. I ain't going to the grocery store today. Whatever it is that you use as leverage. When you don't resolve issues, you start to cut it off. Might as well stay up all night tonight. All right, we got the babies in the house. But you know I'm telling the truth. And so you're going to have courage to confront unresolved issues. Jesus told them time and time again, what have I done? What law have I broken? What lies have they told you about me? Why don't you just listen to what I'm saying and we can resolve this issue? No, it says they got together. In 34 it says he had shut the family, he had shut the Sadducees up, and then they got mad. And then they started asking him all these old crazy questions, and he started dealing with them right on the spot about what it meant to be in relationship, what it meant to deal with God. He says you got to learn how to love God. That's the greatest commandment. But what is the second problem we have in relationships? Unforgiveness. You know it's lunacy to think that your unforgiveness hurts the other person. It's crazy for you to think not forgiving somebody hurts them. The only person that unforgiveness hurts is you. Because didn't Jesus say, forgive us as we forgive? So if forgiving us as we forgive others is the high point, that means if you don't forgive somebody, then you have no forgiveness coming. And God got a way of putting you in the very same situation that you holding somebody else to. God got a way of putting you around people that won't speak to you just like you ain't speaking to them. God will put you in a situation where folk avoiding you just like you avoiding them. Why? Because he's trying to illustrate to you, baby, you got to learn how to let some stuff go. You got to learn how to let it go, because when you balance it up against the destiny of your life and the destiny of your family, it's a very small thing.
Yes, it is.
Because some things are just as simple as letting it go. All right, he left the toilet seat up. I mean, good Lord, you going to hold that on him for 6 months? He ain't okay to drink your apple juice. That was a year ago. He didn't speak to you when y'all seen each other at HEB. Now you ain't never going to speak to him again. I know they saw him. And we hold on to this stuff. And what's so bad about it, this free rent that you let people occupy your head, a lot of times they don't even know you there. And then you get confronted by God and you go up to him and you pull him to the side and you say, I know I've been acting up, I ain't been speaking to you. And they go, you acting? I didn't even know, girl. Because you're not as important in people's life as you think you are. A lot of times folks don't even think about you unless they see you. And you sitting at home plotting and scheming and trying to talk about how you're going to get. Folks, you're not that important to folks. You are important to God, but you're not that important to people. And so a lot of times when we get into these little scuffles with each other and this little he say, she say stuff, you got to learn how to be big enough, mature enough to say, you know what, I'm growner than that. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let that go. Why? Because God let stuff go with me. Stuff where you should have been dead and gone. God, let it go. Stuff that right now in your life, where you are in your life, if God was to bring some of that stuff up and expose you in front of these people, these folk will look at you and go, you? Yeah, you. But guess what God did? Even your sin that should have put you in hell. God says if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart, he said, I'm going to let it go. And not only am I going to let it go, but it's going to be erased, remitted. It's going to be like it's never happened, like you never did it. Amen. Because that's the kind of God that we serve. What's another problem that we deal with? Our mouth. Uncontrolled tongue. Just popping off anytime you want to pop off. Saying anything that come to your mind. Now just because you think it don't mean you need to say it. Just because you grown don't mean you need to say everything that comes to your mind. Man, you know what stuff come to my mind? Some stuff come to my mind right now. That don't mean I need to say it. Because you got to learn how to run your stuff through the filter of Scripture. Homologeo, you got to learn to say what God says about people. Learn to say what God says about you. You got to learn how to bring that mouth under control. Because words are powerful. Communication is powerful. Man, I was watching TV the other day and I said to myself, the whole world is nothing about people communicating and relating to each other. I don't care what you turn it on. You can turn it on the soap operas. What they doing? Talking. Turn it on the news. What they doing? Talking. If you turn it on the gospel station, what they doing? Singing. But what is it? Words. So we're constantly communicating words out of our mouth. So it would behoove us to pay attention to what we say out of our mouth, because once it come out of your mouth, you can't take it back. My daddy taught me a long time ago. He said, it's better to cut somebody's mind than it is to cut them with a knife. Because if you cut them with a knife, it'll heal. But when you cut somebody's mind, it's always there. And that's why you got to be careful about the things you say to your children. The things you say to your spouses. The things you say to other people. Because there's a lot of people who take what you say with all kinds of authority. Because you are the Bible that some people going to ever read. And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, if they said it, it's got to be true. So you've got to run your mouth. You got to learn to discipline your mouth. Learn to control your tongue. If you can't say nothing nice about somebody, then don't say nothing at all. And gossip is another big thing. They gossiped about Jesus. They had all these things. They eating each other's body and drinking each other's blood. They were doing all this gossiping and didn't have facts. And we do the same thing. We pass information from people to people to people, not knowing that you don't even know if it's factual, and you gossiped about them. Then you feel all bad when you see them because you know you done talked about them all night long. Because God gonna show bring them in your face. You done just talked about this person for 3 hours, you don't think they gonna show up? Oh, we were just talking about you. You were just talking about me. How you know? Because when I walked in, he got dead quiet. I ain't going to tell y'all. Y'all don't even know that. But you got to learn how to control your tongue. You got to learn how to watch that anger. Learn how to watch that gossip. Don't let folks push your buttons. You're getting older now. Everything folks say about you, you ain't got to react. You ain't got to get folk told about everything. Some things you got to just look at them like Jesus said and say, Lord, forgive them. Because they don't know what they do. And as the bigger person, we've all been in situations and places where we said stuff and did stuff to people and only to regret it and don't know how to go back to them and ask forgiveness. We've all done that. And so since we've been there and done that, we've got to learn how to let folk off the hook when they do it to us, because they really do want to be friends with you. They really do want to be cool with you again. They just don't know how to approach you. But if you let your guards down and be godly, you'll be surprised what's going to happen in your relationships. Why is Pastor stressing relationships today? Because when you on your deathbed, you can't drive no more. You don't know how much money, you don't know whether you're coming or going. The only thing that's going to be important is relationships. You ain't going to never hear nobody laying on their deathbed talking about, oh, I wish I would have got that other job. Man, I wish I would have saved more money. No. They're going to say stuff like, man, I wish I had spent more time with my wife. I wish I had spent more time with my kids. I wish I would have kept that friendship, because the only thing that's going to matter in the end is people being around you. And you don't want to get old and lonely and bitter and alone, because it's horrible to be by yourself. And I'm not saying that everybody got to get married, because there's more in a relationship than just being married. You got to learn how to be a better friend too. Why everybody got to always do what you say? Why we got to always go where you want to go? And then if we don't go, you don't call us no more. Why we always got to sing to your tune and dance to your tune? Listen, you got to learn sometime in relationships that it ain't always got to be your way. Other people got minds and they got brains too. And even though it may hurt you, you ain't always right. Sometimes you're wrong. And when you're wrong, you need to learn how to admit it, ask for forgiveness, and move on with life. And allow people the space to heal, just like you need space to heal. But Lord have mercy, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You got a 20-year friendship you're going to throw out of the window because they ain't bring you your way back. It's the last time I'm getting my rent. Because they didn't agree with you at dinner. Now you mad at them. The sky green, no, it's blue, girl. I said green, blue. I said blue is green. Well, you know what? I'll see you later. And then you don't never see them again. 30-year friendships out the door over something petty. Another problem is unwise actions, unwise concepts, unwise conduct. You need to be more sensitive to the implications of your actions. You need to pay attention to how stuff going to affect other people. Because it's not just you that it's going to affect. It's going to affect a whole lot of people. I'll give you a prime example. You and somebody else can get into it, but it wasn't just you and them. It's the family now. Now it's the cousins. It's the uncles. Now you got an all-out feud because you didn't be more sensitive to how your actions would affect somebody else. And we do that a lot of times because we don't think about the end result of what will happen. That's right. See, we just think about being right all the time. But being right ain't as big as you think it is. Not if you're going to lose somebody you love. Because you don't think about the end result. You're gonna break this relationship. Oh, you didn't realize all this go away too when they leave, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, you forgot about the car got to go too, huh? Yeah. The house go too. The split bills that we split up, oh, they go. Y'all get quiet all you want. I know I'm telling the truth. Because you don't think about all that. You just think about being right. Then y'all in court, Christians, fighting amongst each other, the world standing back going, look at them. Because we wasn't sensitive to what we was doing. Well, how do we fix it? Let's fix it and then we'll go home. The first thing is that when you find yourself in a broken relationship, you've got to confront whatever's going on without delay. Yes. It's nothing to be gained by delaying stuff. Matter of fact, it's just going to make it worse. You got to learn to confront whatever the issue is. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you know what I always say about it? I always say it's already uncomfortable. Well, you may not say that. Y'all going to have a problem. We already got a problem. So since we already dealing with it, we might as well go on and deal with it all the way through. Because we're going to be better for it. Because it's going to mature us. Because if we stand there and hammer stuff out like adults, not arguing and calling each other names, if we learn how to hammer stuff out and deal with it, we're going to be better for it. Because it's going to draw some lines in the sand. Amen. And we're going to learn that we got to live our life by what God says, by relationships and not rule books. So the next thing is you got to be willing to compromise. You got to be willing to compromise. Look at what Proverbs 25:8 says. It says, do not bring hastily to court. For what will you do in the end if your neighbor puts you to shame? If you take your neighbor to court, do not betray another's confidence, or the one who hears it may shame you and charge you against you will stand. So what is he saying? He's saying you've got to be willing to compromise. It can't always be your way. Sometimes you got to just say, you know what, it's all right if we do that. It's all right if we do this. It's all right if we stay up a little later. It's all right if we go a different way. We've got to be willing to bend. Because it's in the bending that folks learn to get deeper with you. Because folks say, I can work with you. I can deal with you. Because you don't feel like everything got to be in wood. Everything got to be solid for us to deal. You know that sometimes stuff go like this. Sometimes it ain't always straight. Sometimes it's gray sometimes. Because everything in that Bible ain't black and white. Some stuff God don't deal with. Some stuff he don't talk about. It's gray areas. How you going to handle the gray areas? The gray areas you handle by being godly and saying we're going to compromise on this. Amen. I'm going to pay the lights, you're going to pay the water. However it go. I'm going to wash the dishes, you're going to cut the grass. However y'all work it out in your own life, however it is, you got to learn to compromise because that shows love, it shows maturity, and it shows growth. Yes. Yes. You got to learn how to make a compromise. And then finally, you got to learn how to make a commitment. It says be reconciled to each other. Restore your relationship and commit to each other. That's why you got to have goals in whatever kind of relationship you're in. And as a Christian, you got to think on this level. What am I saying? What is your goal for this friendship? Why y'all friends? Why y'all hang out with each other? What's the purpose? This my girl. We go to Houston together. Oh, I bet y'all do. So what is the friendship based on? Where is it going? What is the goal of the relationship? Your marriage, what are y'all goals? Amen. What are y'all trying to accomplish now? Is it financial? Is it spiritual? Is it just being more loving? Where are we now? Where are we trying to take this to now? Because if you ain't working on nothing, then you ain't got nothing to work on. That's right. And when you ain't got nothing to work on, and you ain't got nothing to do, folk get busy, and they turn into busybodies. And the next thing you know, you all in somebody else's house. All in somebody else's business. Your house on fire and you over there putting out somebody else's house. So you gotta decide if I'm gonna be in relationships with people, whether it's friendships, whether it's partnerships, whether it's marriages, whatever it is, I've gotta make sure that I'm committed to what I'm doing. Yeah. When y'all called me as pastor, it wasn't so much about y'all wanting me, it was about me making sure I'm committed to you. Yeah. Because your job ain't to worry about me, my job is to worry about you. And if I can't be committed to that, then I got to give it to somebody who will. Yeah. Some things you ain't got no choice with your children and stuff. You got to be committed to these children. But you got to have a goal. Where are you trying to take your kids? Where are they? Because God's whole thing in relationship is moving people to the next level. Yeah. And the reason why you still the same is because you never got off the level. You never moved up. You never grew. You never got mature enough to have better relationship because you still acting like you acted when you was 12. Folk don't call you, you blow up their phone and cuss them all out, get mad at them, roll your eyes, don't want to talk to them no more. That's what kids do. So we've got to grow and we've got to move. So we've got to learn to be committed to whatever it is we've committed ourselves to. Amen. And if we found ourselves in the situation now where we ain't on the path right like we need to be, then this is why we love God. The fact that you under the sound of my voice letting you know he wants you to recommit. Amen. The fact that you under my sound of my voice letting you know that he wants you to compromise in some areas so you can get back on track. Yes. Yes. The fact that you're under the sound of my voice letting you know God wants you to let some stuff go. Okay, it's time to let some stuff go now. You've been holding on to that long enough. Because holding on to stuff is what's keeping you anchored in place. All right, it's time to start letting some of these people go that don't mean you're no good. Start letting some of these people, these products, these places, got to let them go. You've been holding on to this stuff for a long time. It ain't doing no good. You've been using sulfurate for 10 years. Your hand grew. It don't work. You can go ahead and let that go. But you got to make a commitment to growth. And it all starts by recommitting yourself to your walk with God. Yeah. Wherever you are in your life, we all get lacked in our life. Yeah. We all get lacked, especially in our relationship with God. Yeah. What God is telling them here is, I need you to get back recommitted in your relationships. Yeah. Yeah. In your relationships with me. Yeah. In your relationship. See, because your relationship with God is going to determine how committed you are to everything else. Amen. Amen. Man, if you ain't committed to God, I can't trust you to be committed to nobody else. How in the world, let me make it humorous because I don't want y'all to go home and say I was talking about nobody in the church. Man, if I can't trust you with fries, ain't no way I'm putting you on the cash register. If I can't trust you to keep the fries hot, ain't no way I'm putting you on computers. And it's the same thing with God is saying. If I can't trust you to keep your car oiled up, gassed up, clean, I ain't finna give you no new car. If I can't trust you to keep your clothes clean, keep your house clean, I ain't finna give you nothing more.
That's right.
Man, y'all hearing what I'm saying?
Yes.
He's calling for a recommitment to himself and then a recommitment to yourself.
Yes.
Because he wants you to be your best self. He don't want you to look at everybody else. He wants you to be your best self. Because if you look good and you feel good, you're going to do good.
Yes.
But if you're looking down and you're feeling down and you're being down, you're going to have despair hanging over you. And you're going to be looking for a pity party. And we're not handing out pity parties over here. But we will help you. We will bear your burdens. We will walk with you. But ain't nobody finna be like, yeah, I'm patting you all on your back, you crying all the time, because that's not gonna change your situation. What's gonna change your situation is your commitment to God and your compromise in your life about getting back on track with God. Now, as I get ready to close, you gotta ask yourself, what is it that you want? Do you hear me tell you every week? Because the application is always, what are you wanting from God? What are you wanting from God? Or what are you getting that you don't want? Because once you get that together, then you can start making the appropriate steps. Because a lot of us, the only issue that you having is you won't add God. You just want God when you want Him. And I'm telling you, and I'm going to keep telling you, walking with God is a commitment. It's a lifestyle. It's a relationship. It's not a hit and miss. It's not a dink and doink. It's not a boom, bang, boom. It's not a rub God 3 times and goodies fall out in your life. That's not how this works. How this work is we go from glory to glory to glory. That's how God does it. Let me close. Let me show you the process. You come to God and you tell God, God, I need you in my life. I need to get myself together. And God says, good, I need you to get saved. Then once you get saved, God start cleaning you up. He start dealing with you. You can start hearing the voice now. You start feeling it again. Okay, God want me to go to church. He want me to go to Bible study. You might not get 100 all the time, but at least you ain't failing the test. Then God says, okay, now I can move you into sanctification. I can move you into cleaning you up. As I move you into sanctification, then I teach you about magnification, which is praise. God shows you now that you're sanctified, now that you know what you ought to be doing, even if you ain't doing it, at least you can praise God that you know what you should be doing. And then you got common sense enough to know that it wasn't you that got yourself together. So you start to praise God. As God moves you from magnification through the sanctification process, He starts to mature you. He matures you. It's the maturation process that God has you in, because now that you're being sanctified, now that you know about God, now He's trying to take you and make you a leader. Make you a light. Make you an example. Not one that's ashamed, because you're going to get exposed either way it go. But one that can be set on a hill that folk can say, you know what, I don't know what you're doing, but I see your glow. I don't know what you're doing, but I know how you used to be, and you're not like that no more. What are you doing? And then from that maturation process, now you become a disciple. You become a spokesperson. And now you can work with God. You can work for God. Why? Because you can take people through those very same steps.
Amen.
And how do you do it? By telling them what God did for you.
That's right.
I was blind, now I can see.
That's right.
I was gambling, now I don't. I was a drunk, now I don't drink. I was a hoochie, now I'm a saint. Because we got to be able to be transparent and tell folk the story, or folk going to think that we always been the way we are. And if the truth be told, we all far from perfect. That's the reason why we keep coming. We don't keep coming because we got it together. We keep coming because we know we got to get it together. And we know it's a week by week process. And I'm going to say this and I'm going. Nobody is better than you, and you ain't better than nobody else. We all just trying to make it. We all just trying to get along. We all just trying to get better in God. And if you can help me and I can help you, then baby, bring it on. But if you're trying to dig ditches and make hangnails for me to hang myself on, keep on moving with that. Because I got enough haters in my life. Trust me, I ain't hiring for haters. I got enough. And you should have enough too. And so when we make those commitments in our relationship, when we make those compromises in our relationship, we can be just like what Jesus told them. Jesus says, on these two. He said, y'all get rid of all the rest of them. They had like 340 of them. And they wanted to know. Jesus says, only two. And he quoted it from Leviticus 19.
Yes.
Let's close with it. I'm going to read it. He says, thou shalt, 37, thou shalt love the Lord thy God. How, Lord? With all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And watch this. And the second is like unto it.
Yes.
Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. God bless you. Valuing relationships. Doors of the church are open.